Welcome back. If you watched this, you probably watched the first part of my tutorial on how to use the battery computer in ACE in Arma 2.0a to set firing solutions by using the howitzer or the M119er to be able to calculate firing solutions and hit your target. So we already have been into this Humvee, which has the firing computer or artillery computer in it. Next step would be to actually set the gun and aim it, fire it, and hit the target. So what we do is, of course, get into the gun, and you're gonna see if you set up a gun, it has not only the gun, but if you look in that direction, there's also this well, curious red and white looking stick. These are aiming posts. These render as a sort of reference. If you aim the gun, you can also you can always look at these sticks and use them to calibrate your gun to the right direction. Like I said, in the first part of this tutorial, I set the gun. Let me just show you again. I open the vector or use it, and it's in mils. Look at the gun. Just go a little bit further away to have a more accurate reading. Look at the center of the gun. It's 710 mils. So that's the direction the barrel is pointing toward. And I'm gonna hide the vector again. Of course, this is somewhere northeast, and our target, we are here, is somewhere southeast, so the gun is absolutely not facing the correct direction. So how do we do this? Well, the gunner will get into the gun, and then look down his aiming sight. And you can see by default the gun is aligned. We have the two aiming posts in our sight. One is at 50 meters, one is at 100 meters. They're perfectly aligned, and this is how the gun would look like if you just set this up and it's not turned or changed, or, well, if you haven't done anything to the gun. So we're gonna open this chart here. This is the sighting unit adjustment menu. And from the firing solution, you remember maybe, we put in, or we calculated the deflection, which is this. By default it's 3200. It's an arbitrary number. They choose this because, you might remember, one whole circle has 6400 mils, or 360 degrees. They use mils because it's more accurate, there's more sub-steps. And 3200 they use because now you can actually adjust the deflection by half a circle in each direction, and you never get over 6400 or below 0. So you're never going to have to calculate with negative numbers or numbers that are greater than a whole circle in the mils scale. So that makes sense. But it's just an arbitrary number, it doesn't really mean anything. But from our firing solution, we remember we had 4966 mils. So we're going to have to adjust the setting we have right now by that amount. And for that we have the deflection buttons. And we're going to have to raise the deflection, so deflection plus. If you click on this, it's just going to change them by the amount of 1. And I'm not going to click on this button over 1700 times, would make no sense. But if you hold down Shift and press it, it goes in steps of 10. And if you hold down Control and Shift and click it, it goes in the steps of 100, which of course would make sense. So our target is 4966. I'm gonna have to click this quite a bit, but it's a lot quicker than just clicking this in changes of 1. So we're at 4966. That was what I'm aiming for. So 66. And you can see now I can also set in the elevation, which is at 1096. So this is elevation plus minus. But the sighting unit is not going to change. But don't worry about that. You see that the level, if I go back again to 300, you see the level is in the middle. This is just like the small air bubble in the water scale that you use to align guns. So I press elevation plus to go to 1096. You can see that actually the elevation is now off center. And that is because the barrel didn't change. I just changed the sighting unit. And to change the barrel, I'm gonna use the up and down arrow. Don't press the left and right arrow buttons unless you're really sure what you're doing, because then you're not changing the sighting unit, but the alignment of the actual gun. You would use that to fine-tune it, but you would have to remember how many times you press left or right, because then you actually misalign the gun by the amount you press, and there's no way you're gonna remember that. You write that down because there's no piece of equipment that shows you then how you misaligned the gun. So, but to set the elevation, there's the up and down arrow. And you press the down arrow, it's gonna scroll through the menu, but don't worry about that. It's actually also gonna change the gun alignment. And if I press Control Shift and down, it's also gonna do this a lot quicker. So just gonna wait. It's raising the gun. You can't see. Oh, but there you see. Okay, almost in the middle. Okay, now it's center again. So if I get out of the gun, you can see it's now actually aiming up high into the sky, but still not in the direction of the target. It's still aiming at 40 degrees. But we adjusted the sighting unit, and what we're gonna do now is actually rotate the gun so that we can see the aiming posts again if we look through the sighting unit. And now, of course, this would make sense to do when you have 2 or more people, because somebody is gonna sit in the gun, look through the sight, and another one is gonna use Shift left or right on the M119er. I'm just gonna do this by my own now. So I'm gonna click Shift right because the target is to our right. I'm gonna press the back button. It's gonna start to shift, and well, yeah, it's gonna take quite some time. So, but for my reference, the aiming posts are somewhat near these building walls. So, just to check for myself again. If I open the map, I can see the target is there. I'm up there. The map tools are a neat little trick to actually get the azimuth of your target. So I'm just going to put the center of this small compass on my position. Zoom out. Scroll to our target. Hold J, and then click on the target. And what this does is it aligns that map tool compass so that we can now see the direction our target is actually in is somewhere near between 240 degrees and 260 degrees. 140 degrees and between 2400 and 2600 mils. So 140 degrees, let me just check real quick. The gun is now facing at 140, almost there. So if I get into the gun, look through the sight. Aha! Lucky guess. There we have the first aiming post. I'm just gonna have to switch the gun to the right one more time, because if you get into the gun and you hit Shift right or left and then you press your button, it's actually gonna change the gun by 50 mils each time you tap the button. So just once. I'm done. I press escape again. Oh. Okay, thank you for that. That was bugged. Didn't really get out of the gun. Okay, that's not what's supposed to happen. Okay, there we go. Probably gonna have to get a gun in my hand again to avoid this bug. So I'm gonna have to shift left again one more time, because I accidentally shifted it more than I wanted to. So, there we go. Get into the gun, look through the sight. It's completely misaligned. That screws things up quite a bit. Okay, so that's why I say probably don't want to do this on your own. Gonna have to shift left a little bit because the signs are to the left. Gonna try this twice. So once, twice. Get out. Get into the gun as a gunner. Look through again. Still out of alignment. Okay, so left again. And I was so lucky before. Can't believe I messed that up again. Okay, cool. Look through. There we go. So now you can see we have the closer stick in our range and the further one is off to the right. What we want to do is actually align the gun on the further stick, which is, lucky for me, approximately 50 mils to the right, because you can see in the center, let's see if I can get mouse cursor going. So this is the center, this is the further stick, and this is a range setting, or rather a scale which is in mils also. And like I said, one tap goes 50 mils, and this is approximately 50 mils from center. So I'm just gonna shift the gun right, one tap. So right, tap once, and get back into the gun seat. and we are approximately on the stick that is to the right. Because you realize, or you see, that now the sticks are not in a perfect line anymore, like they used to be before. This is because we turned the gun, and the sighting unit is not on the same axis as the rotation is gonna take place. So what we have now is parallax error, and we're gonna have to adjust for that. Parallax error you probably all know from your physics class. If you hold on your arm and raise your thumb, and you align your thumb with like a wall, edge of your wall, and then you close the one eye and then the other, you see that your thumb seems to be changing position. Of course it's not so, but well, this is basically parallax error. And what we're gonna do now, or gonna have to do, is you see that we are a little bit off to the right, but that is okay, doesn't really matter. We're gonna have to this time really push left or right button to correct for this parallax error. You see that the closer stick is about 50 mils or 45 mils to the left of the stick to the that is further away. So we're gonna have to align the stick that is further away by the amount of difference between these two sticks to the right. So I'm gonna have to shift it by 45 mils to the right to correct for the parallax error. And I'm gonna probably want to write that down. So 45 mils, I shift to the right. So I press the right button 45 times, or like you remember, I press shift and the right button 4 times. Actually it doesn't work, so I'm really gonna have to press 45 times. Or just orient on the scale. It should be about at the 50 mils marker, because it started at the 5 mils marker, and 50 mils marker would be 45 mils to the right. So now we corrected for parallax error, and we also aligned the gun with our target. So if I get out now, you can see it's pointing up in the sky, and it's on target, or roughly on target, I hope. So that's this part of the artillery tutorial. In part 3 I'm gonna show you how to actually prep rounds for the gun. Thank you.